Hello student, good morning. I hope you all will be safe and sound as that we have finished, we have completed the 9th chapter. So we are going to start the 10th chapter, that is about as well as it is the last chapter of the history, that is about India after independence. After getting the independence, after getting the freedom from the British rule, from the colonial rule, so what were the main challenges in front of the India? These all the things have been given under this one. So at first they have given the heading over here, a new and divided nation. Before it we came to know how the country was divided, how the country was partition between India was partition as India as well as in that is in Pakistan. Then after this one, a new and divided nation. When India became independent in 15th of August 1947, it faced a series of very great challenges. Mean to say, in front of the India, there were many challenges to cope up with these problems, to cope up with these challenges. As a result of partition, 8 million refugees had come into the country from what was now Pakistan. So, 8 million refugees, they came to the country and they just made their settlement, and how these refugees were made the settlement by the government. So this was the first challenge in front of the independent country. These people had to found homes and jobs. These people, what they had to do, they had to at first they had to find out for their settlement, for their sheltering, as well as for the jobs for surviving themselves. Then there was a problem of princely states, almost 500 of them, each ruled by a Maharaja or a Nawab, each of whom had to be persuaded to join the new nation. As as we all know that when we got the independence, at that time the whole country was divided into 562 provinces, means small 562 states were there, and it was the challenge to unite these all the provinces. And these were ruled at the time by the rulers, mainly by the Maharajas or the Nawabs. And these had to be persuaded to join the new nation, and these had to be convinced to join the new nation named India. The problems of the refugees and of the princely states had to be addressed immediately. What about these were the problems? So these must be solved very immediately. And in the longer term, the new nation had to adopt a political system that would best serve the hopes and expectations of its populations. And after solving this problem, so we had to make a political system like that which can just fulfill the demands of and the expectations of its population, because almost every common citizen, every people of the country, they had given their contribution and their sacrifice for getting the freedom from the colonial rule. Then after this one, you can see downside Mahatma Gandhi ashes being immersed in Allahabad, February 1942, when the Gandhi was killed by the Nathuram Binayak Godse on 30th of January 1948. After the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi, when his ash was just floated over the river at Allahabad, so this was the population, these were the people who were gathered there. Then after, India's population in 1947 was large. As you all know that, so during the period of 1947, also the population of India was very large, almost 345 million. That has been given, 345 million population was there. It was also divided. As you all know that the partition were there, India and Pakistan, and there were divisions between high caste and low caste, between the majority Hindu community and Indian who practice other faiths. So there was also the divisions between high and lower caste. This caste system was also being followed at that time. And as well as there was the majority of the Hindu community and other beliefs, other religious people were also there. Apart from the Muslims, there were also the Christians, Parsis and other religious people as well. So the citizens of this vast land spoke many different languages, wore many different kinds of dress, ate different kinds of food, and practiced different professions. As you all know that India is known for its diversity, So the people, they used to speak the different languages. If you go through the south area, you will get their regional languages compared to the north area. In north area, if you see, so they are speaking the different languages. So that is why diverse languages were spoken over there, and they were also wearing the different kind of the dresses and different kind of the dishes they used to take, and also they practice the different professions. How could they be made to live together in one nation state? So it was the main challenge in front of the Indian government at that time, in front of the independent India, how these all the people can live together and how they will be united together in a one nation. To the problem of unity was added the problem of development. That is the problem of the unity, and it was added the problem of development. Until we will be not united, so how the country will go for development? At independence, the vast majority of Indians lived in the villages. As we all know that the majority of the Indians, they used to live in the villages. Farmers and the peasants depend on the monsoons for their survival. Whatever the agriculture, whatever the production was being done at that time by the farmers, so it was totally depend on the monsoons. And so, did the that has been given, did the non-farm sectors of the rural economy, for if the crop failed, barbers, carpenters, weavers, and other service group would not get paid for their services either. If the monsoon fails over there, and whatever the non-farm activities which are not related to the farming, so in these one, what used to happen? So they have given, so the other non-farm activities like the barbers, carpenters, weavers, and other services group would not get the paid for their services as well. In the cities, factory workers lived in crowded slums with little access to education or healthcare. And whoever the factory workers were there, who were doing the factory work, so they used to live in the crowded slum areas, and they were not having the good education as well as the health care. Clearly, new nation had to lift its masses out of poverty by increasing the productivity of agriculture and by promoting new and job-creating industries. So, it was a challenge in front of the new nation, that independent India, to lift its masses. To lift its masses means to say to lift its population out of the poverty. So, the people, mainly the country, it must be the overthrow from the poverty by increasing the productivity of agriculture, by increasing the production in the agriculture sector, and by promoting the new job creating opportunities for them by opening the industries. Unity and development had to go hand in hand. So whatever the unity and the development, these were the main challenges at first. So it had to go hand in hand. Hand in hand means to say it must be solved very immediately. If the division between different sections of India were not healed, they could result in the violent and closely conflict, high caste fighting with the low caste, Hindu with Muslims, and so on. If the same problem here they have given, if different sections of our country, if they be healed, if they have been pushed, so what the result would have been there? So they must be turned into the violence, like high caste fighting with the lower caste and Hindu with the Muslims and so on. Then at the same time, if the fruits of economic development did not reach the broad masses of the population, it could create fresh divisions. For example, between rich and poor, between cities and countryside, between region of India that were prosperous and the region that were lagged behind. Mean to say, if the development that will not took place in each and every sector, in each and every part of the country, it will also create the gap between rich and poor, between the cities areas to the villages areas, the other parts of the country, as well as the prosperous regions and the lag behind regions. So that is why it also keep in the mind by the Indian nationalists that the development took place in a balanced manner in all over the country. Then, after this one, a constitution is written. Here, it has been given how the constitution that was framed. Between December 1946 and November 1949, some 300 Indians had a series of meetings on the country's political future. So, the first Constituent Assembly meeting, as I have already told you, that held in December 1946. By this one meeting till November 1949, many of the meetings were being conducted for declaring the political future of the country. The meetings of this Constituent Assembly were held in New Delhi. This meeting took place in December 1946 in Delhi. But the participants came from all over India and from different political parties. These whoever took the participate in these meetings, these came from approx all parts of our country, and these were from different political parties. These discussions resulted in the framing of the Indian Constitution, which came into effect on 26th of January 1950. So here they have given whatever the discussions were taken by these participants in the meetings, it resulted to draft the Indian Constitution. It made the Indian Constitution, which, as you all know, that it came into the existence on 26th of January 1950. On 26th of January, today we celebrate it as a Republic Day. One feature of the Indian Constitution they have given, it was the adoption of universal adult franchise. That means to say, right to vote. All Indians above the age of 21 at that time would be allowed to vote in the states and national elections. Later, the age has been reduced. Now it is 18 years. All Indians, all adults, these are 18 years. If you are 18 years or above 18 years, so you are having this right, universal adult franchise. That means to say, right to vote. This was a revolutionary step, for never before had Indians been allowed to choose their own leaders. So it was, they have given a very revolutionary steps, a very initiatives step which had been taken by the Indians to choose their own leader for ruling over them. In other countries such as United Kingdom and the United States, this right had been granted in stages. So in other countries, like they have given the example of the United Kingdom and the United States of America, this right had been given stage by stage to the people over there. First, only men or property had the right to vote in these countries, mainly United Kingdom and USA. Then the men who were educated were also added on in. Working class men got the vote only after a long struggle. Finally, after the bitter struggle, very bad struggle of their own, Americans and British women were granted the right to vote. But in our country, this didn't happen. Means as we got the independence, directly the universal adult franchise that has been adopted in the Indian Constitution. On the other hand, soon after independence, India chose to grant the right to all its citizens, regardless of their gender, class, or education. Mean to say, whether you are male, female, whether you are literate, illiterate, whether you are upper class, lower class, so all the citizens of the country having right to vote, that right has been given by the Indian Constitution. The second feature of Indian Constitution was that it guaranteed equality before the law to all its citizens. As you all know that equality has been provided by the Indian Constitution, that is equal in front of the law. All are equal in front of the law, that means to say, regardless of their caste or religious affiliation. There were some Indians who wished that the political system of the new nation be based on Hindu ideals and that India itself be run as a Hindu state. There were also some of the Indians who were wishing that India should be the Hindu, based on the Hindu ideals, based on the Hindu philosophy, and that India itself be run by as a Hindu state. But they pointed to example of Pakistan, a country created explicitly to example of Pakistan they have given here. The country created explicitly to protect and further the interests of the particular religious community, the Muslims. However, the Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru was of the opinion that India could not be and must not become a Hindu Pakistan. It means to say India just didn't support it, didn't just adopt these ideals of some of the leaders that India should be a Hindu state. Instead of this one, like they have given the example here about the Pakistan, if you take the example of Pakistan still, so it is a Muslim state because they have just adopted their national religion, that is Muslim. But in India, so we haven't adopted. So here is the secularism. India is a secular state where all the religions are treated equally. Beside Muslims, India also had a large population of Sikhs and Christians, as well as many Parsis and the Jains. Under the new constitution, they would have the same right as Hindus. As Hindus are having the right, same right the other religious people, they are having the same opportunities when it came to seeking jobs in government or other private sectors. The same rights before the law. These all the things have been given to these all the people. Then here they have given here the third features of the Indian Constitution. It was that it offered special privileges for the poorest and the most disadvantaged Indians. Mean to say here the third feature of the Indian Constitution, special privileges, special rights, special protection have been given to those persons in India who were very poor, and as well as the most disadvantaged classes like the lower caste like Dalits and untouchables. The practice of untouchability described as the slur and a blot on the on the fair name of India. As you all know that at the time this untouchability and these sort of the practices were being done in our country. So for promoting their conditions, for uplifting their conditions, the Indian Constitution have also provided them reservation for uplifting their conditions. So after this one, this untouchability also has been banned in our Indian Constitution under Article 17. Then after Hindu temples previously open only for the higher castes were thrown open to all, including the former untouchables. Now, it has been open for all, whether you are upper caste and lower caste. After a long debate, the Constituent Assembly also recommended that a certain percentage of seats in legislature as well as in jobs in the government be reserved for members of the lowest caste. As I have already told you, some seats for the legislative assembly elections as well as for the government jobs, so some of the seats have been reserved for the lowest caste. It had been argued by some of the untouchables, or as they were now known, Harijan, the candidates did not have good enough grades to get into the prestigious Indian administrative service. That is why, so the government has provided to them the reservation, some seats for them. These are reserved in the government jobs as well. But as one member of the Constituent Assembly, they have given here, that is H.J. Khandekar, argued it was the upper caste who were responsible for the Harijans being unfit today. Addressing his more privileged colleague, that is Khandekar said, he told it only the upper caste people, they were the responsible for these lower caste people. But by seeing their conditions, they were the responsible. That is why the reservation has been given to them. We were suppressed for thousands of years. You engage us in your service to serve your own ends and suppress us to such an extent that neither our minds, nor our bodies, nor even our hearts work, nor are we able to march forward. So this is for the untouchables, as the Khandekar, he told about the lower caste people. Mean to say, these were suppressed by the higher caste people from thousands of years. And by seeing their conditions, these all the things have been told by him. Then after, along with the former untouchables, the Adivasis or scheduled tribes were also granted reservation in seats and jobs. So whoever the Adivasis were there, so they were also granted in the reservation, in the jobs as well as in the some of the legislative elections. Like the scheduled caste, these Indians also had been deprived and discriminated against. These were also deprived, these were also exploited, dominated and discriminated as well. The tribals had been deprived of modern health care and education, while their lands and forests had been taken away by more powerful outsiders. Whoever the outsiders were there, so their land and their forests have been taken of these tribal people. So that is why the new kind of the opportunities were also given to them for uplifting their conditions. The new privileges granted them by the Constitution were meant to make amend for this. What about the amend? What about the changed? So for granting them the in the Constitution the new rights, some privileges for them, some special rights for them. So some of the changes that were done in the Indian Constitution. Then after this one, they have given about more related to this one that we will discuss in the next video.